Okay, here we are again. A little bit more on a horoscope spread. Not particularly so that you can learn how to do a horoscope spread, but because it will give you ideas and practice in figuring out answers to questions that people might have. I'm going to show you later the sixth house, and I'm also going to show you how you put three houses together to get a more complete answer. And you can use three cards without a horoscope spread, but it'll give you practice in figuring out how to blend different meanings or how to tell a more complete story. So I'd like to begin with the first house and the 10th, because the first house is the self. It gives you an idea of what the person's like at the moment. Remembering that the horoscope spread we're saying is for 6 months or 8 months, something like that. It's not forever. You can, and I'll probably show you this later, if you have your natal horoscope calculated, you can convert planets and signs into major trumps. And I'll show you how that works using C.C. Zane's method. And it's quite interesting because it gives you a more visual way of understanding what the chart is about. If you've got a picture on a major trump instead of a planet or a sign. Anyway, so the first house is the self. Okay, I've got the Hermit reversed here. So if this represent, if somebody wants to know, let's say it's the significator, right? The card that you pick to represent the questioner at the time of asking the questions. So with the Hermit reversed, we would say maybe that because it's upside down, maybe it's something that you ought to do or something you've been avoiding doing. And because it's the Hermit, it's a bit like be on your own for a while. So maybe you're on your own and you don't like it because it's upside down. That's why you don't like it. Or else you appreciate that when you're on your own, you can make good use of that time by thinking things through, making lists of things you would want to do, or trying to figure out why things aren't going the way you want. Although that can lead to difficulties, so it's probably better to think about where you actually want to go. Because if you say, it's important to ask the right questions. If you say, why am I such a loser? Or something along those lines, you're going to get hundreds of reasons why you're a loser. But it doesn't really do you much good unless you take each point and turn it into its opposite. Whereas if you ask the question like, how can I be a winner? Or how can I be successful? You're going to get answers to that question as well. But they're probably going to be more helpful and useful than reinforcing the idea that you're a loser or that you're a failure. So the first house is the self. And you might want to, for yourself, think of, when you were little, when you were 8, 9, 10, that kind of age, what kind of things did people say to you? What kind of advice did they give you? Because the kind of advice that people gave you relates in some way to the ascendant in a horoscope, or it would relate to the card that comes up here representing the self at this moment. So maybe people would, with the Hermit reverse, people would say things like, don't spend so much time alone, or you're too much of a loner. I'm saying too much because it's upside down, so we're looking at the negative, so to speak. You're too much of a loner. You should get out and about more. You should socialize more, have more in common with other people, or find out what you've got in common with other people. That kind of thing, because it's a hermit and because it's upside down. The idea is it's not good being a hermit. It's not good shutting yourself away. It may be very important and very useful and very valuable to do that, to shut yourself away for a while. But shutting yourself away with no reason is probably not so good. Shutting yourself away so that you can figure things out, that's a good thing. So this is you on a one-to-one basis. So somebody wants to know about the relationship when you get the Hermit reversed. They're kind of not that forthcoming with the partner. So that's you on one-to-one. The 10th house shows I've got the High Priestess here. The 10th house shows what you're like in public. So if somebody has to give a speech at a wedding or they've got to do a presentation, the card here in the 10th house will show how you come across to the public. And that, so you can find that you meet somebody like this person with the High Priestess in the 10th house. They're really impressive when it comes to public speaking or to presenting ideas to a group or to teaching a class or something like that. They're impressive. And if you've been to a presentation or a wedding and you hear somebody give a speech and it's really good, and then you meet them face to face, and then you wonder, where was that person who was great in public, but one-on-one they're kind of awkward and bashful and shy? And that's the difference between the ascendant, the self, and the 10th house. It can be the other way around. Somebody's really good one-on-one, and you think they'd be a great public speaker, but the 10th house shows that maybe they get nervous in public or they're not comfortable speaking to a group of people. So the difference between the 1st and the 10th can be that. So that's the 1st house. The 2nd we have to remember is the value sense, what you care about, and that it's really useful. I was told about the value sense years ago with horoscopes, and I thought, okay, it's a value sense, but it honestly took me about 30 years, and then it clicked how vitally important it is to understand the value sense of the individual. So if I keep going on about it, I have reasons for it. So here we got the Hermit reversed. The value sense can maybe explain why the 1st house or why the self is represented by the Hermit reversed. So with the 9 of Batons reversed in the 2nd house, they've tried things that they didn't work out because the person's injured or they're damaged. So it could be that they had various projects that didn't work out, or they tried to make things happen and they suffered personally because of it, because the person's got a bandage around his head. So one way or the other, things didn't go well, or they were trying to get things that were not appropriate, or they were trying to get things but it was too soon, or they were trying to get things and it was too late. One way or the other, something didn't work when they went out to get what they wanted to get. And that could be why they're now represented by the Hermit reversed, where that's why they need to retreat from the world for a bit and sort things out, so that they can maybe figure out what to do instead of beating their head against a brick wall. Because we do that. I mean, people do that. We dig in our heels, and determination is great, but not when it turns into, I don't know, stupidity or just trying to make the impossible happen. We have to be realistic as well, I think. So that's the 2nd. 3rd, 4th, 5th. The 6th house shows, you've got the 5 of Pentacles. The 6th house shows, among other things, it shows sickness. So somebody wants to know, tell me about my health, and you're willing to answer that kind of question. You would look to the card here and say something about their health. And maybe because we've got, as you can see, we've got the people out in the snow, but we've got light and warmth inside the building. And the building can represent traditional expertise, right? Because you had to be an expert to build a building like this. So maybe what you do with the 5 of Pentacles is consult somebody, talk to people who know or people who are expert, and find out what they would advise or what they would suggest or what they would explain for your current physical conditions. Okay, but the reason I wanted to look at the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th, these are houses of wealth. So this is how you make money and what you spend money on. This is the services you're meant to perform in this lifetime, and this is your career or business. So if somebody wants to know, I'm not sure about what I should do for a living, you would look at this, the 9 of Batons reversed, the Five of Coins, and the High Priestess, you put those three cards together to get a more complete picture of what the person should do for a living. So here, we've got the Nine of Batons reversed. Not sure what to say about that at the moment. I'm thinking about the kinds of occupations that people have. You could get involved with computing. Does that show somehow maybe a bit with the High Priestess, where you're maybe a researcher, or you're in a quiet place, quiet area, and you're focusing and concentrating on developing expertise, because that can be the High Priestess. So she's got knowledge, or you've got knowledge and understanding, and you're developing it, or you're going to bring it to the public in some way. So computer, maybe, but the Five of Pentacles, it's like, I was thinking of sometimes if you've got the Five of, I'm sort of scrambling here. The High Priestess is single and solitary. The Five of Pentacles shows a man and a woman, the people in a difficult situation, and the Nine of Batons shows somebody in a difficult situation because you've been injured. Somehow, sales is not a good idea for you. If you have to, working in a restaurant or a bar doesn't look like the kind of work that you should be doing. Computing, maybe, if you can do it on your own and work from home, maybe, but not. So what you could do is, somebody wants to know, okay, I'm thinking about changing career. Is it a good time to change? And so you might say, with the High Priestess here, not be careful, but think things through, and have look at the strengths and weaknesses of the different jobs that you're thinking of going for. With the Five of Pentacles, you're probably not going to get as much money as you want. Even though the card is upright, it still shows the man and the woman. Maybe later there's going to be promotion, and you'll get more income that way. But with the Nine of Batons reversed, does it really suit you? Let's say the person thinking about joining company A or company B. Both the Nine of Batons reversed, somehow they ought to think again, because neither company suits them really. There isn't going to be as much money as they want, and with the High Priestess, their own skill and expertise might be overlooked because it's the High Priestess. So you get an idea of, and it's you playing and practicing on your own and seeing what you would do with these three cards, for instance, as being the answer to the question about, should I go for promotion, or am I going to get a better job, or what's the best kind of line of work that I can get involved in. And by looking at the pictures here, we get an idea of what. I don't want the Ten of Swords. I was looking for being the Knight of Batons. So I'm looking for good cards, so to speak, not the 10. The Sun, and not the Moon. The King of Wands. Okay, so let's see, these three cards came up. That's the same questions. Is it a good time for getting a promotion? Yes. It's going to work because you've got the Knight of Batons, you're energetic and enterprising, and you're a good messenger. With the Sun in the House of Service, yes, you'll do a good job, and people will recognize that your contribution is valuable with the Sun. And with the King of Batons, you've got get up and go, and you've got ability to run an enterprise, or run a business, or run a department. So if you're looking for a promoted position, you're well qualified for it. So you look at these three cards, same questions, and it tells a very different story from, what was this, the High Priestess, and this one was the Five of Coins, and this one was the Nine of Batons reversed. So you're practicing. And it means that when somebody in a reading asks you that kind of question, and you turn 2 or 3 cards, you're not beginning from the beginning. You're already a little bit familiar with how you think, about those questions and how you would give an answer to them, and you've had a bit of practice with particular cards in different positions, so you're slightly or somewhat or maybe very familiar with what the card would mean or what the card points to answer that kind of question. Okay, I think I was rushing, but what can you do? So, if you have any comments or questions, let me know. I'll try to look at the comments and answer questions, or maybe deal with them next time. So that was it for the moment. Thanks very much. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you in a few days. Okay, bye-bye.